If someone told you that you are wasting the only life you will ever get, your first instinct would be to resist the idea. You would defend yourself with effort, responsibility, and intention. But effort alone does not guarantee direction, and good intentions do not prevent regret from quietly taking root. Wasted life is rarely obvious while it is happening. It does not announce itself with failure or collapse. It appears as routine, comfort, and delay. Days fill up, years pass, and nothing feels terribly wrong, yet something essential is always being postponed. Most people believe they will wake up one day and suddenly feel ready to live fully. They imagine clarity will arrive on its own, as if time itself delivers courage. But time does not create readiness. It only reveals what you repeatedly chose to avoid. You can feel this truth when you are alone. In quiet moments, a voice reminds you that you are capable of more than you are currently demanding from yourself. That voice does not accuse you. It waits patiently, growing heavier with every delay. Wasted life is built from small compromises. Each time you silence a calling, shrink a goal, or choose comfort over conviction, you lose nothing immediately. The cost is deferred. It gathers silently like interest until it becomes impossible to ignore. Most men do not die because life defeated them. They die because they never truly entered it. They stayed near the edge, watching, preparing, planning, and explaining, while the years carried away the strength they were saving for later. You may tell yourself that timing is the issue, that circumstances must improve first, that responsibilities justify waiting, but responsibilities never disappear and timing is never perfect. Waiting becomes a habit long before it becomes a reason. There is a difference between patience and avoidance. Patience moves forward with discipline. Avoidance pretends to be careful while standing still. One builds a future. The other preserves comfort until comfort becomes a cage. Look honestly at the goals you once spoke about with certainty. Notice how quietly they have faded. Not because they lost importance, but because postponement dulled their urgency. Delay is the most effective way to kill a dream without admitting it. Life does not punish in dramatic ways. It punishes with repetition. The same year lived again, the same conversations, the same frustrations. One day you realize that what you feared risking has already been lost to inaction. Most people misunderstand regret. They think it comes from failure. It does not. Regret comes from knowing you could have acted and chose not to. Failure leaves lessons. Avoidance leaves questions that never stop asking themselves. You were not meant to live cautiously. You were meant to live deliberately. Deliberate living accepts discomfort in exchange for meaning. Cautious living avoids discomfort and quietly trades meaning for safety. Every year you delay becomes evidence that shapes your identity. Eventually, you stop seeing yourself as someone who will act someday and begin seeing yourself as someone who never does. That belief is harder to escape than any circumstance. You still have time, but not unlimited time. Time is not an ally unless it is directed. Without direction, it accelerates regret. With decision, it compounds progress. The difference is not age, it is resolve. Wasted life does not feel dramatic. It feels familiar. That is why it is dangerous. Familiarity dulls urgency, and urgency is the engine of meaningful action. Without it, even opportunity feels optional. The world does not ask whether you are ready. It responds only to what you decide. And decision is not a feeling. It is a commitment that survives discomfort, doubt, and delay. If you listen carefully now, it is because something inside you recognizes the truth before the mind argues it away. That recognition is not fear. It is awareness arriving before it is too late. You cannot reclaim wasted years, but you can prevent wasted ones. That choice does not require perfection, certainty, or approval. It requires only that you stop negotiating with delay and act on what you already know matters. This is not a warning meant to frighten you. It is an invitation to wake up while there is still time to live with intention. Because the only tragedy greater than wasting your life is realizing it when there is no time left to change it. There is a quiet way in which most men lose their lives, and they call it living. It does not happen in great defeats or sudden ruin. It happens by inches in ordinary days, through harmless postponements that appear wise, reasonable, and safe. What they call caution is often surrender wearing a polite disguise. I have watched men grow old waiting for the perfect time. They spoke endlessly of plans, of careful preparation, of how they must make sure. Years passed, and they never realized that waiting had already become their life. Readiness, they thought, was coming tomorrow, but tomorrow was always busy dying into yesterday. The tragedy of most lives is not misfortune, it is half living. Men rise, they labor, they rest, they repeat. They fulfill their duties, pay their debts, and call this discipline. But deep within, there remains an unspoken knowing that something essential has been postponed so long that it has become a stranger to them. A man can work hard every day and still waste his life. Hard work without direction is like water poured upon sand. It makes effort visible but leaves no harvest behind. The world rewards motion only when it is governed by purpose. Effort divorced from decision is the slowest form of decay. I do not speak to condemn labor. I honor it. But labor must serve something higher than repetition. Without a clear aim, routine turns from servant to master. It begins quietly, whispering that safety is success, that stability is wisdom. Soon it convinces the soul that motion equals meaning, and meaning is forgotten. Most men die of later. It is a disease without symptoms, spreading through justification and small comforts. Later I will begin. Later I will decide. Later I will live as I know I should. And later becomes never, not by event, but by erosion. The lie of the right time has enslaved more talent than failure ever could. There is no perfect season for courage. There is no schedule for faith. Conditions never align until a man himself aligns with decision. The law of life is movement. Energy obeys the one who commands it. I learned long ago that the world belongs to those who begin. The timid spend their strength in preparation. The bold invested in progress. Every advantage grows from action, not intention. 1 hour of definite direction outweighs a year of clever planning that never touches reality. Henry Ford did not wait for permission to shape his idea. He began when all experts told him he was a fool. His machines broke, his partners left, his money vanished, but his direction never wavered. He obeyed the law of motion, and motion, when sustained, compels results. I once knew a clerk who dreamed of owning his own business. He studied, he saved, he planned. But each year he decided he was not quite ready. He waited for a perfect economy, for clearer knowledge, for the approval of those who feared more than he did. He died prepared for a life he never lived. Compare him to the man who begins before he is ready. Imperfection does not slow him. It refines him. His failures become teachers. His errors become instruction. The very friction of his struggle sharpens the tools of success. Life assists the man who dares to move. Time is not patient with hesitation. It continues forward, collecting interest on every moment you delay. You may not notice the cost at first, but delay compounds. Each day of indecision adds weight to the next, until the habit of postponement becomes your nature. Routine is the thief of vitality. It whispers comfort while draining conviction. You believe you are being responsible, but what you call duty often hides fear of change. True responsibility is not remaining where you are. It is fulfilling what you are capable of. There is a form of safety that kills. It kills the spirit by numbing it. A man who will not risk discomfort for growth dies daily in small, polite ways. He calls it balance. But balance without progress is only controlled stagnation. Avoidance loves to wear the mask of patience. It says, I am being careful, while it quietly runs from the call of purpose. Maturity, wrongly defined, becomes an excuse for delay. Real maturity is not endless weighing of options. It is the courage to choose one and make it right by perseverance. The cost of hesitation is invisible but absolute. It steals energy, belief, and respect. Every time you retreat from decision, your faith in yourself weakens. Confidence is not built by talk. It is built by acting on what you already know to be right. A man who almost decides, almost commits, almost lives, soon becomes haunted by the ghost of what might have been. Almost is the language of slow defeat. It deceives you into believing that proximity to greatness is equal to greatness itself. But almost builds no monuments, feeds no families, fulfills no soul. You may believe you are safe by waiting, but waiting is not safety. It is slow surrender. The fire of purpose does not stay lit through avoidance. It fades quietly each day you silence it, until one morning you realize it is gone and wonder when it left. Abraham Lincoln knew years of uncertainty, failure, and ridicule, yet he understood that preparation means nothing until put into motion. He rose again and again, not because life favored him, but because he refused to remain still. Action, even small, kept his purpose alive when everything else seemed lost. I have met many men proud of their intentions. They speak as if intention were currency. But the law of life does not reward what you mean to do. It rewards what you actually do. Good intentions kept unexpressed become guilt that hardens into regret. Time itself obeys a simple law. It serves the man who directs it and enslaves the man who drifts. You are its master or its servant, never its equal. The minutes you waste today will demand repayment tomorrow with interest measured in lost peace. Every decision you make today becomes your future multiplied. A single definite act can shift the entire course of your destiny. The man who acts gains knowledge, resources, and allies. The man who waits gains only another reason to explain delay. I do not delay my life in the name of safety. I learned that safety gained by retreat costs more than danger faced with decision. Fear cannot be conquered by logic. It dissolves only through obedience to purpose. You have been told that patience is a virtue. It is when joined with motion. But patience without forward direction is cowardice disguised as virtue. The farmer does not wait idly for harvest. He labors daily while trusting in time. The same law applies to the soul. The difference between existence and expression is obedience. Existence endures. Expression creates. The man who exists lives for comfort. The man who expresses lives for contribution. Only one will die fulfilled. I have seen men wake at 50, realizing that the climb they made was upon the wrong hill. Their achievements looked solid but felt hollow. They had mastered security and lost significance. The tragedy was not that they failed, but that they succeeded in something unworthy of their potential. Do not confuse motion with progress. A rocking chair moves constantly and goes nowhere. The same energy that maintains stagnation, if directed, could have built an empire. Energy obeys decision, not intention. 1 hour of decisive, directed effort outweighs years of vague effort. One clear yes is worth 1,000 maybes. Life respects clarity. Nature itself demonstrates this. A river cuts stone only because it flows one way without apology. Most men pray for opportunity, yet opportunity rarely visits the idle. It comes disguised as difficulty, requiring immediate motion to reveal its value. The man who hesitates sees only the obstacle. The man of decision sees the hidden door within it. The soul was not designed for stagnation. It was built for creation. When you deny it expression, it turns against you. Depression, boredom, and regret are not punishments. They are signals of unused power-seeking release. The great spiritual corruption of almost is that it appears harmless. You believe you have time, that postponement is temporary. But almost erases decades, not days. It convinces you that you are on your way while you stand still. To break free, you must accept that perfect readiness is a myth. Readiness is born of beginning. Decision creates momentum, and momentum reveals wisdom. You do not become qualified before you act. You become qualified because you act. When a man awakens from delay, his presence changes. He becomes urgent but not hurried. His time feels sacred. His conversation shortens. His action lengthens. Those around him feel his conviction even when he says little. He stops speaking of potential. He begins converting it. Each day becomes an investment, not an escape. The idle will resent his decisiveness because his example exposes their comfort as fear. But the awake will rise with him. When a man directs his energy with purpose, time itself begins to bend in his favor. Each hour compounds upon the last. Progress becomes inevitable because intention has turned to obedience. Say this often: time is my servant when I direct it, my master when I waste it. My hours compound only when spent deliberately. Every decision I make today becomes my future multiplied. The law of direction governs all achievement. To drift is to submit to decay. To decide is to command creation. Faith is obedience to time's law, the quiet certainty that every deliberate act plants seed for harvest unseen. Fear of poverty is the same as fear of wasted days. Both are refusals to trust motion. Persistence is not struggle. It is the daily payment of purpose. It is the act of paying your debt to time before interest consumes your potential. If this truth stirs you, act now. Do not promise change, perform it. Choose one neglected duty and complete it today. The smallest act of obedience will break the spell of delay. When you begin to move, time ceases to haunt you. The fear of running out disappears because you are finally using it. The man who lives deliberately never lacks time. He multiplies it through direction. And when others look upon you, they will feel it. Your presence will carry weight. Your voice will carry command. You will become the man who reminds others of their own unfinished lives. For the greatest power a man can possess is the ability to live while he still has time. The present moment is the only place where life exists. It is the single gate through which all success must pass. The past is memory, the future imagination. Only the present is command. Yet most men spend their lives absent from it, haunted by what has been and anxious for what may come, while the power they seek stands quietly in their hands unused. The cure for wasted life is not more time, it is more presence. A man does not need longer years, he needs concentrated hours. Energy multiplies where attention is fixed. The man who learns to direct his focus controls circumstances. The one who scatters it becomes servant to accident. Faith does not dwell in tomorrow, it acts only in now. All belief must take form through present obedience, or it remains illusion. The man who says, "I will begin when I am ready," confesses disbelief. The man who acts now, though uncertain, commands law to move on his behalf. I once believed progress required speed. But I discovered that true progress requires stillness of mind. The calm man works faster than the frantic one because his attention is whole. He does not divide himself among 10 tasks. He gives his entire being to one. Such concentration produces miracles mistaken for luck. The mind, like light, gains strength when focused. Scattered light warms nothing. Concentrated light burns through steel. When you gather your attention and aim it upon a single aim, you touch power few ever know. The discipline of presence is the secret engine of genius. Thomas Edison understood this law. 10,000 failures did not break him because he was not living in the future where success waited, nor in the past where mistakes whispered. He lived inside each experiment fully, obedient to the present task. That is why he triumphed. Patience is not idleness. It is presence obeyed. Helen Keller, blind and deaf, lived with a focus most men never achieve with all their senses. She did not curse limitation, she converted it. Her attention, undistracted by noise, became a laser upon meaning. Through focus, she turned darkness into light, silence into message, limitation into immortality. The cost of divided attention is exhaustion. Men speak of being tired because they labor too much. But true fatigue comes not from work, but from worry. Effort wasted upon what cannot yet be touched. Fear of tomorrow and regret for yesterday drain strength faster than any labor. Regret lives in memory. Fear lives in imagination. Both are thieves of the present. They cannot coexist with creation. The man who masters attention casts them out. He knows that what has been is finished, and what will be is being written now through his obedience. To live deliberately is to treat each hour as sacred capital. You cannot store time, but you can invest it. Every act done with full attention compounds in value. Every act done carelessly leaks power into nothingness. Attention, like gold, loses worth when diluted. Andrew Carnegie practiced this devotion daily. Each morning he began by clarifying his aim, rehearsing gratitude, and aligning thought, belief, and action. His fortune was not luck. It was compounded presence. Men followed him because his focus organized them. He radiated direction, and direction commands loyalty. Gratitude is not sentiment. It is discipline. It roots attention in what is real. When you begin your day acknowledging what already works, your mind ceases wandering among doubts. Gratitude gathers attention as a general gathers troops, preparing it for advancement. Faith is proven only by obedience in the present. You may speak endlessly of trust, but unless you move now, your words are hollow. Law rewards immediate action more than delayed perfection. Begin imperfectly today. Improvement belongs to those who continue. The moral discipline of finishing what you begin builds power of will. Each completed act teaches the subconscious that you are a man to be trusted. The mind obeys the voice that proves reliability through completion. Every unfinished task weakens command. To command the present, you must silence the appetite for constant variety. Modern men destroy their energy by changing focus endlessly. They do not finish one idea before chasing another. They are like children abandoning toys for new ones, never discovering mastery. I command the present through attention. My focus is wealth. My distraction is poverty. I am faithful in the smallest act, and the great follows. Every breath directed toward purpose becomes progress. Repeat these truths daily until they become instinct. For repetition engraves obedience, and obedience engraves destiny. The world honors the man whose presence is whole. He listens completely when spoken to, works completely when engaged, rests completely when still. His composure deepens because he is never elsewhere. People feel peace in his company. His steadiness teaches silently. When your concentration strengthens, motion slows outwardly, but quickens inwardly. The untrained mistake stillness for laziness, but stillness is mastery. In quiet focus, you gather power that later explodes into effective action. Controlled attention is the training of the mind to obey command. Few realize that attention, not time, is the true measure of life. Where your focus dwells, your life expands. Where it drifts, your strength fades. Helen Keller's life illustrates this principle perfectly. Her mind, unclouded by distraction, became a vessel for miracles. She could not see the physical world, yet she perceived the laws that govern it because she lived entirely within the present. Her awareness was her wealth. Thomas Edison practiced the same law differently. His laboratory was a temple of attention. He demanded silence, concentration, and order from himself and others. Each experiment was not an attempt, but an act of faith in the present. That is why his failures strengthened him. Andrew Carnegie often said that concentration is the mother of confidence. He understood that scattered energy breeds insecurity. The man who completes one task with excellence gains courage for the next. Completion teaches the subconscious that power obeys persistence. To live presently, you must cease dividing yourself between what you must do and what you wish to avoid. The mind cannot hold purpose and escape in the same space. Choose one, for attention follows affection. Whatever you truly love receives your energy even if it harms you. Focus, therefore, must be moral. Do not attach it to distraction or complaint. Discipline it toward creation. The act of choosing what to attend to is the act of choosing who you become. Faith expressed through calm focus produces authority. The man who knows his aim does not shout. His silence commands more than others' noise. He walks steadily, and the world adjusts itself to his pace. I have observed that calm men accomplish more than hurried ones. They are not driven by anxiety. They are led by purpose. Their steps are measured, but their reach is long. They treat time as ally, not adversary, because they live in its center rather than its edges. The undisciplined live everywhere except now. They dream, they reminisce, they escape into possibility. Their thoughts are fog, their actions disjointed. They never meet life where it happens, and so life never meets them with reward. Presence requires practice. Begin with small tasks. When you eat, eat. When you work, work. When you plan, plan. Each act performed wholly deepens your ability to direct attention. Do not confuse multitasking with mastery. No man can serve two purposes and remain powerful. The link between gratitude, awareness, and control is sacred. Gratitude grounds you in sufficiency. Awareness keeps you awake, and control channels your energy. Together, they transform ordinary minutes into instruments of creation. Faith is not noise or emotion. It is certainty expressed through calm obedience. The faithful man repeats his direction daily until results obey him. His confidence is quiet because it is constant. Persistence is the continual return to purpose without distraction. You will stray. All men do. But return. Each return strengthens the habit of control. Discipline does not mean never wandering. It means always coming back. Time cannot be managed. Only focus can. Manage attention, and time expands. Waste attention, and time vanishes. The seconds you lose to distraction cannot be restored, but the ones you inhabit fully multiply results. Presence is mastery over mind. When you control attention, you control reality, for your perception shapes experience. You cannot change circumstances instantly, but you can always change where you place awareness. That shift alone alters destiny. The man who obeys this law becomes magnetic. His peace unsettles the restless. His composure commands trust. Others cannot explain it, but they feel safer in his presence. He seems unhurried, yet progress surrounds him. Controlled attention, practiced daily, refines character. It removes waste from thought and noise from emotion. Each day lived in this manner deepens serenity and sharpens vision. Say to yourself upon waking, I command the present through attention. My focus is wealth. My distraction is poverty. Each breath directed toward purpose becomes progress. Obedience to this practice is faith in motion. The more consistently you perform it, the more law rewards you. You will find energy increasing, tasks finishing easily, confusion vanishing. It is not magic. It is order. The discipline of presence transforms ordinary labor into art. Even routine becomes sacred when done deliberately. The man who sweeps a floor with attention can build an empire because attention multiplies everything it touches. Helen Keller, Thomas Edison, Andrew Carnegie, all obeyed this law differently, yet each proved it through lifetime achievement. They lived fully in their tasks, not someday, but always. Presence was their secret, purpose their compass. And when you begin to live this way, others will notice. You will speak less, listen more, decide faster, and finish what you start. You will become reliable, not because you strive to appear so, but because presence leaves no room for drift. Gratitude will replace impatience, focus will replace confusion, peace will replace noise. The rhythm of life will synchronize with your direction, and you will feel power not as strain, but as quiet certainty. Presence is the training ground of immortality. Every great work that outlives its maker was built by someone fully alive in the moment of its creation. Energy given wholly to the present becomes eternal. Therefore, discipline yourself to live here now completely. It is the only territory that belongs to you. All success, all faith, all peace are contained within this instant. Obey it, and life will obey you. Every life moves toward one of two ends, fulfillment or regret. Regret belongs to those who drift. Fulfillment belongs to those who complete. A man's peace is not measured by what he begins, but by what he finishes. Every unfinished duty, every unexpressed idea, every promise delayed gathers weight upon the soul until it bows. Completion is the great law of peace. It is the natural closure of energy returning to its source. The universe itself obeys this rhythm, seed to bloom, tide to ebb, breath to stillness. The man who lives without finishing defies the rhythm of creation. He leaves behind fragments, not legacy. Most men die twice. The first death happens the moment they stop pursuing purpose. Their body continues, but their spirit retreats into silence. The second death comes when the body finally catches up with the surrender of the soul. Between those deaths lies quiet despair, a life of almost. To complete one's purpose is to achieve immortality in substance, if not in name. For what is done with wholeness never dies. The energy given entirely to a cause continues in motion long after the giver rests. A single invention, a single act of service, a single courageous decision may outlive centuries. Regret does not come from failure. Failure is honest effort, misunderstood by time. Regret comes from incompletion, the knowledge that you could have acted and chose not to. Men rarely lament mistakes. They lament the hours wasted in avoidance, the courage never tested, the words never spoken. A man who lives daily with direction no longer fears death. He meets it as a craftsman meets the final stroke upon his work. He knows that nothing essential is left undone. The man who completes his purpose lives lightly, for he carries no debt to time. Andrew Carnegie spent his later years giving away his fortune, completing the circle that began with ambition. He understood that accumulation is only half the law. To create is to give, to finish is to release. His peace was not in wealth possessed, but in wealth distributed. Abraham Lincoln's life was a long corridor of trials. Yet he carried his mission through chaos until history itself bowed to his clarity. His peace did not come from ease, but from completion. Even his death served his purpose, sealing his devotion with permanence. Thomas Edison, even in old age, continued to experiment. When his factory burned, he began again the next morning, saying, "All our mistakes have been burned away." For him, creation was not labor, it was life. His joy was proof that the man who creates continually never grows old. The secret of perpetual energy is completion. Every finished task renews vitality because it returns harmony to the mind. Unfinished work clutters the subconscious like dust upon machinery. Each incomplete duty hums faintly, stealing strength. To complete is to clear the field for new creation. Fulfillment replaces excitement in mature mastery. Excitement is youth's impulse, the spark before the fire is tended. Fulfillment is the steady warmth of continual purpose. It does not need applause or novelty. It is satisfied in knowing that every ounce of potential is being used. Obedience creates peace. When a man lives according to his purpose daily, he no longer fights himself. His thoughts, desires, and acts move in one rhythm. There is no inner argument. This harmony expresses itself outwardly as calm authority. Activity is not accomplishment. Many men exhaust themselves in endless tasks, believing that motion equals meaning. But completion requires direction. To finish what matters most is better than to begin 100 things half-heartedly. Greatness is selective obedience. I complete what I begin. Nothing within me dies unfinished. My life is measured not by time, but by expression. Each day fulfilled is eternity earned. I die empty, for I have lived fully. Speak these not as hope, but as vow. Let them become the measure by which you conduct every hour. Gratitude preserves vitality at life's summit. A thankful heart seals the work of a day, preventing restlessness. Gratitude tells the soul, this chapter is complete. Without gratitude, the mind remains unsatisfied, always chasing, never content. To live deliberately is to complete continually. Each act closed builds confidence for the next. The carpenter who finishes his work rests easily. The thinker who completes his thought sleeps peacefully. The man who lives in fragments never rests, even in sleep. The discipline of finishing begins small. End every day with order. Complete the letter. Make the call. Settle the promise. These are not trivial. They are the training ground for greater works. The universe entrusts large responsibilities only to those who keep small ones. When a man completes what he begins, life opens before him. New ideas rush to meet him because law trusts his obedience. Opportunity flees the unreliable. Completion is the signature of integrity. It draws resources like gravity. Peace is the silence of fulfilled energy. It is the quiet that follows obedience. When you have done what you were born to do, noise ends. The struggle against yourself disappears. What remains is rest within motion, a soul in rhythm with its creator. Lincoln, Carnegie, Edison all understood this peace. Each obeyed the law of completion in his own way. Lincoln completed a moral task larger than his life. Carnegie completed the cycle of wealth into service. Edison completed the process of turning imagination into tangible light. Their names endure not because they sought immortality, but because completion makes immortality unavoidable. The man who gives himself entirely leaves behind a pattern others cannot erase. There is no sorrow in a finished life. The sorrow lies only in what is withheld. Men who die young in years but complete their purpose die fulfilled. Men who live long but hoard their energy die poor. Duration is meaningless without expression. The difference between motion and mastery is closure. Many move, few arrive. To arrive demands that you say no to distractions, yes to duty, and finish before beginning anew. Completion is courage continued to its natural end. The man who lives by this law becomes steady, patient, and unshaken. He no longer fears failure because he knows he will see it through. Each difficulty becomes a chapter, not an ending. He works as though eternity watches, for in truth it does. When gratitude joins discipline, fulfillment matures into joy. Joy is not laughter or excitement. It is serenity born of right relationship with effort. You cannot fake it. It appears only when every part of you is engaged in creation without reserve. Service is the natural overflow of mastery. When you have fully expressed your purpose, you cannot help but give. You see others not as rivals, but as participants in the same law. The fulfilled man becomes teacher, mentor, giver. His reward is expansion, not applause. Legacy is continuation of disciplined energy. What you have built in obedience to law continues to operate long after your presence fades. A book, an idea, a business, a lesson, all carry your consciousness forward. Energy, once given form, cannot die. The man who has completed his work fears nothing, not loss, not judgment, not death. He knows his record stands. The book of his life is written without missing pages. That is why his peace carries gravity. His silence unsettles those still chasing approval. They see in him a reflection of what they could be if they obeyed. His words are few, but each carries weight because his life verifies them. He becomes the man others trust instinctively, even after he is gone. Each day fulfilled is eternity earned, for the soul measures life not by length, but by depth of expression. A single day lived completely outweighs years lived carelessly. Quality of obedience, not quantity of time, defines immortality. I complete what I begin. Nothing within me dies unfinished. My life is measured not by time, but by expression. Each day fulfilled is eternity earned. I die empty, for I have lived fully. Say these until they form conviction. They are not the language of death, but of victory. Persistence, rightly understood, is the rhythm of completion. It is the heartbeat of law itself, the continual return until the work is done. Each repetition polishes the soul like a craftsman polishing gold. The definite chief aim becomes life's final obedience. It is the one purpose that governs every act, great or small, until the end. The man who keeps this aim before him dies without unfinished business, for all his actions serve a single direction. Faith becomes calm certainty that the work is fulfilled. When you trust law completely, you stop grasping for results. You continue until completion becomes natural. Anxiety cannot coexist with faith expressed through obedience. Imagination becomes the blueprint of legacy made visible. Every vision that begins in mind and is completed in action extends the frontier of human possibility. The dreamer who finishes his dream lifts the world's ceiling. Death has no power over the man who has already expressed his purpose. His energy continues. His influence multiplies. What was born through obedience cannot return to nothing. The Creator honors creation that honors His law. Live so completely that nothing essential remains unsaid or undone. Let your presence today be so full that even absence cannot diminish it. That is mastery. That is eternal life expressed through temporal form. And when the final hour comes, you will not cling or plead. You will smile, knowing that time has served you well because you directed it rightly. You will stand before eternity with open hands, saying, I have used all that was given to me. The world will remember not your possessions, but your completeness. Those who meet you in thought or memory will feel peace, not pity. For the man who lived fully never truly leaves. He continues through the order he created. So let this be your creed, to waste no hour, to leave no task unfinished, to let no fear delay obedience, to complete each day as though eternity depended upon it. For in truth it does. The soul that fulfills its duty today earns immortality 1 hour at a time.